Hey, what's up everybody? Rob Marzullo here, Ram Studio Comics, and today I'm going to teach you how to foreshorten. So, I know you've always struggled on how to foreshorten complex drawings, and today I'm going to give you that bit of information and it will plague you no more. So, let's go ahead and get started. So, essentially what I'm going to do is first rough out a sketch, and then I'm going to go back and explain to you what exactly my thought process is and how I'm essentially accomplishing it. So, I'm going to use this bit of a cyclone kind of method to scribble things out. I've talked about this on the channel here. And lots of people do this and they call it different things, but essentially you're just scribbling, right? I mean, there's really no fancy way to put it, but if you want to give it a name, we'll call it cyclone or whatever. But essentially I'm just scribbling to get the forms in place. And I tend to do this more for foreshortening because I have to figure out the overlap. So to me, this works a little bit better for the overlap. Now, some people will go against this and they'll use more just straight cylinders, and that's okay as well. The cylinders will help you kind of draw in perspective and use a vanishing point and all that fun stuff. But this one, I think, gives you a bit more organic feel to your work. So let me, and actually the hand probably needs to be a bit larger. So now I'm going to start explaining exactly what I'm doing because, you know, as it is, you're just watching me draw, as bad as it is, and you're not really understanding what I might be doing to visualize this. So I don't know how impressive that looks to you right now. Probably not that impressive, but I'll make a duplicate of it so you can see the progression of what I'm doing. And let's grab that, move that sucker over here. There we go. Okay. So now, make sure I'm on the right one. So now I'm going to refine this a bit more, and then I'm going to explain to you what I'm doing. So you know that I'm using that bit of scribbling and cyclone method. The part that I didn't explain yet is that I've actually was looking in the mirror the whole time. And although my arm's not quite this buff, I was still able to add some stylized property to it as I'm drawing. So I keep a mirror by my art table, pretty large one. Not because I like looking at myself. I mean, I don't mind it, but I do it because I need to be able to reference stuff like this rather quickly, and this is why. So if you get online and you Google, I don't know, arm coming out towards camera or whatever you decide to Google that day, you might get lucky and find the right pose. You're probably not going to. You're probably going to spend an absorbent amount of time flipping through the wrong poses. You're probably going to get a bunch of other ideas and go off on tangents if you're anything like me. You know, we have these creative minds, so oftentimes it'll just kind of spark a bunch of other ideas. And that's not what you need. You know, you need to be able to reference it really quickly. So the best way to do that is to put a mirror by your art table. The next best way is probably a tripod and a camera, which I use that as well. It's a little more time consuming. If you can get in the habit of just looking in the mirror and pulling that quick information, then you're gonna really speed right through stuff like this. So again, I've got my arm kind of up in the air pointing towards this mirror trying to make this crazy pose, and it's not going to be exact. I'm not saying this is going to be some verbatim type recreation of what I'm doing. Obviously I got to stylize it anyways because I traditionally draw for comics and storyboards, and so I might need to take my arm and convert it to, you know, the arm of a child or the arm of a little old lady or whatever. So I've got to get in that habit of being able to take the pose, grab just the information I need from it, and then changing it. And same thing goes for comics, right? I got to throw muscles on this. I got to throw suit designs and things like that. So it's very important that you learn to do this and not get so caught up in, you know, finding that exact right shot or whatever. And especially with superheroes, you're not going to find the exact right pose. You have to learn how to take the information that you do have in front of you, whether it be studying in the mirror or taking pictures. You're a lot more likely to get it right sooner if you do that and then add your own style. So let me see. Let me go ahead and take this, and like even this, like the thumb looks too small right there. So I'm just going to expand that, move it around, just kind of play with it to see if I can get it looking better. So we'll call that stage 2 of it right there. Let me go ahead and copy it again. Alright, so I'm copying this and moving it over. And this is another thing that I think is really helpful to kind of explore your own art technique, is to do stuff like this so you can really see how your work evolves. You can make a lot of decisions based on something like that. Okay, so let's go back to this one. I'm going to soft erase it again and refine it a bit more. And so now I've got enough of this information in place where I can start to look at it more in the terms of, okay, I want this to look, you know, like a superhero arm. You know, maybe it's Doctor Strange shooting magic. I don't know if he's that. I don't think Doctor Strange is that buff, but you know, somebody's shooting like energy off their hand or something, or a villain making some, you know, villainous statement or something. But now I can get in here and start to use a little more refinement. I can stylize, I can beef up the anatomy, whatever I got to do. And, you know, obviously you're going to get information like this from studying, you know, bodybuilders or superhero movies or whatever to really get this bit of information. But you've got the pose in place now, so you don't have to think nearly as much about that end of it. You know, you can just focus on the stylization aspect of it. So this is to me a really helpful thing that you just got to get comfortable with, and then, you know, obviously studying the anatomy and getting it right, that's a whole nother ball game. But you've got the pose to work with, and let's see, and then I'll just touch on line weight because I've had a few people ask about that lately. Line weight, you just want really heavy lines around things that are closer to the viewer. You're trying to convey as much depth with this stuff with the lack of depth. You're working 2D and you're trying to make it look 3D. So to do that, one of the kind of cheap special effects that we have is our line weight. So just put like a really heavy, not even making it heavy enough, but a heavy line weight on the items that are closer. So I'm trying to focus on my drawing here at the same time while explaining this process. So yeah, and then, you know, the overlapping lines, so things that are in front are going to get the dominant line in front kind of thing. So you do this like rotational overlap like this as they go back, the segments of the fingers. Here you're going to get the top of the finger. Let's see, this is 1, 2, third one back here, and then the knuckle. Then you get the pads of the hands that actually would, from this angle, would probably be in front. So again, this is, and I'm no longer looking at reference or, you know, my arm in the mirror or anything like that. I'm just going off style and memory at this point. But I've made my job a lot easier by getting that other stuff in place, and now I can just have fun with it and be creative. So that's essentially what I wanted to show you today. Now, something else that I think is helpful to take note of is if you have a tough time getting placement down, and this is a pretty easy perspective shot because it's off to an angle, but just also remember that a useful tip anyways, let me take this, bring it to the side over to here, and also flipping the work and making it smaller and looking at it from a distance will help you spot errors. The hand's probably all kinds of crazy, you know, it's probably not correct, but it's correct enough for what I'm trying to get anyways. So the other thing I want to show you, another quick tip before I end this, is if you ever struggle to figure out placement in foreshortened perspective, try something like this. So you create a box. Let's grab our little ruler tool over here. Where are you? And create a cross section. So this is a great thing to know for buildings. So when you're drawing your buildings in comics, this is a thing that's imperative to know. You can always find center by crisscrossing like that of any shape, any squared off shape, I guess. So there's your center. Now the exercise that I want you to try is this, where you basically draw an arm. It could be more the cylinder method, whatever you feel comfortable with, and draw an arm from a straight shot in this cylinder method. I probably should have, or in this boxed out method. So the elbow's roughly in the middle, something like that. Then practice drawing it perspectively like this. You know, you can create perspective lines that go back to a vanishing point, all that fun stuff if you want. This box can be stretched out any distance. You know, you want to think about the space that you want this arm to reside in. So we'll say something like this. Crisscross the corners. And there's placement for that center line. Now the reason why this is so important and so neat to practice is it really starts to show you visually how much distance the forearm would encompass from a perspective like this. So if you have no reference and you're simply just trying to figure it out, this is kind of a neat way to do that. And you can look at this one over here as a guide as you're constructing this one over here. So that's just another technique to kind of add to your arsenal and kind of play around with. You need to do all of them to really get it down, but things like this really do help. So at any rate, hopefully that's been beneficial for you, and let me know what you thought of the video and what you'd like to see in the future. Be sure to like, share, subscribe, all that fun stuff. And you can support the work that I do here by following the links in the description box below. So as always, I thank you for your time. Keep drawing, keep having fun, and I will talk to you soon.